at the various local governments, coming out in your colors and waiting till now. We are grateful. Today marks a new dawn in the history of our party, a new beginning with a new ESCO for the work God is setting before them. But before I say one or two things, let me thank very glowing terms the immediate past executives of our party, that was led by our new chairman. Thank you for standing by the party. Thank you for working hard to ensure that we emerged as governor and all the other positions in our party. It was indeed a very hectic campaign. You all stood your ground and God helped us. So we thank you. Let me thank my political father who led the party and by the grace of God found me fit to take over from him. My friend, he did well, and so we want to thank him. And so please, I know there are a few things we are here to conclude with the immediate past ESCO. We will not just let you go. I owe all of you a valedictory dinner. And at that valedictory dinner, whatever thing is left, we will sort it out. You have done a very good job, and we thank you. So the new ESCO, I believe that God has brought you at this time to lead our party to conquer new territories and to open up new frontiers. I advise that we continue to be a party with the umbrella big enough to contain all our people. We continue to run our party with sincerity and humility that it deserves. To our chairman, you have been simple but firm. You have been humble but resolute. I request that you continue to lead our party with those qualities. I like to say that as a party, we may not reward everybody in one day, but for every one appointment that we make, we look back at the contribution of each and every one of them. And so we'll continue to carry you along. We'll continue to work with you. But above all, we'll continue to provide good governance. We'll continue to lead with integrity and continue to tell our people the truth. We'll continue to galvanize our youth to arise and make impact. The days where youth just believe that we'll bring money and throw in the skies for them to fight and kill themselves is gone for good. No matter how we are pressured, we will support young people that are prepared to make a living and earn a living. We will provide for small, medium enterprises. We will support each and every one of you in groups and in clusters. That is what government is meant for. At today's conference, I want to assure you that the new State Working Committee and indeed the State Executive Committee will assure you at this moment, as well as all our stakeholders, that we shall work together to provide hope, provide clear direction, to provide selfless service, to uphold our party's constitution, and to ensure that our party, the PDT, maintains its winning streak in the forthcoming local government elections. Especially and specifically, we pledge to return His Excellency, Pastor Umar Basieno, to a second term in office come 2027. This is a task that must be done and shall be done. There is no doubt whatsoever that the task ahead of us is enormous, but we are ever ready. At this juncture, let me pledge to His Excellency the leader and our party
that will be part of the democratic vision of His Excellency. I'm particularly honored to be so elected as the 8th state chairman of. To the best of my ability, I vow that I shall not only run the great party we have, but more importantly, accord our colleagues in the team the opportunity to live up to the aspirations of the progenitors of our great party. I wish to reassure all of us that we shall strive at all times and in all circumstances to be fair, just, impartial, and reasonable in all our dealings and relationships with our leaders, stakeholders, and members. Our slogan shall continue to be politics without bitterness. Before I office come 2027. This is a task that must be done and shall be done. There is no doubt whatsoever that the task ahead of us is enormous, but we are ever ready. At this juncture, let me pledge to His Excellency the leader and our party that will be part of the democratic vision of His Excellency. I'm particularly honored to be so elected as the 8th state chairman of our great party. To the best of my ability, I vow that I shall not only run the great party we have, but more importantly, accord our colleagues in the team the opportunity to live up to the aspirations of the progenitors.
We are proud to be representing not only Benin, but representing Nigeria and representing Africa. I want to thank you very much. I want to wish you well. I want to assure you that the historical recognition that you have expressed, we'll try, we'll do our best to keep it up. All the things you said, we'll do our best. As I always say, it's a work in progress to make things peaceful, tranquil in the state and in the nation. We are proud to be representing not only Benin, but representing Nigeria and representing Africa. I want to thank you very much. I want to wish you well. I want to assure you that the historical recognition that you have expressed, we'll try, we'll do our best to keep it up. All the things you said, we'll do our best. As I always say, it's a work in progress to make things peaceful, tranquil in the state and in the nation. We are proud to be representing not only Benin, but representing Nigeria and representing Africa.
What we need is that we shall work with you more closely to prevent outbreaks of diseases, provide immediate medical assistance, provide immediate humanitarian support in terms of food and non-food items, shelter, amongst others. But most importantly, the major intervention that we need is how we shall support these people to go back to their houses.
And I don't want this meeting to be a list of WHO, UNDP, OCHA, all UN families doing. But I just want you to tell you that we will not spare any of our resources in this response. Probably we might not be where we wanted to be in terms of resources. But as we speak, we will try also to repurpose resources that were designed for some other intervention to see how we can bring them towards scaling up and speeding up this response.
We are committed to engaging with traditional rulers across the nation, tapping into your wisdom and leveraging on your influence to foster peace, unity, and progress in our great country. Your role in conflict resolution, in promoting harmonious coexistence, and in guiding our youth cannot be overemphasized. As we approach the governorship election in the great beautiful state of Edo, we seek your blessings and counsel. Our party's candidate, Senator Monde Okpebolo, comes with a vision of progress and development for Edo State, building on the illustrious history of this great land. We believe that with your support and the collective will of the Edo people, we can usher in an era of unprecedented growth and prosperity for this state. Your efforts in promoting Benin culture, fostering unity amongst your people, and advocating for the return of stolen Benin artifacts have not gone unnoticed. The recent return of some of these priceless cultural treasures is a visible evidence to your tireless efforts and diplomatic skills, while also embracing positive developments that benefit your subjects, and assurances of the federal government's unwavering support for traditional institutions like yours. Your Majesty, our administration recognizes the crucial role that royal fathers play as custodians of our cultural heritage and as key stakeholders in national. We have
is a strategic thinker, a builder, a man of the people, a man who can rally the great people of Edo State. Edo is a man who opens his doors to the people, hear their cry, and lead them with the fear of God. Edo does not need a man who does the call. Edo is a man who feels the call of his people.
President Tinubu returns to Abuja after a successful China visit, urges reflection and unity on Malud Naberi. 218 mates, including Boko Haram commanders, flee Maiduguri prison as UN mobilizes support for flood relief. Sowore promises more protests after detention at Lagos Airport. Good morning and welcome to Political Spectrum, Spectrum Television. My name is Ifyok Moika. Mr. President is back in town, having gone on a visit to China through the United Arab Emirates, where he inked quite some significant agreements with the Chinese government. And, well, very good news for Nigeria. But he's back to meet a country torn apart by flooding, insecurity, problems with regards to the price of petrol, and the arrest of political opponents. What Mr. President is going to be doing to settle all of these fears, and how is the dual election going to play out? We'll take a look at all of this and more after political update. Stay with us. Welcome back. President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Abuja from the United Kingdom. His Airbus A330 landed at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at 10:40 p.m. local time yesterday. Tinubu's recent trip to China includes significant meetings with President Xi Jinping, where Nigeria and China signed 5 key memoranda of understanding, including agreement on infrastructure and media cooperation. The President also participated in the Forum on China-African Cooperation and discussed climate financing with King Charles III during his brief stop in London. This marks Tinubu's 24th international destination since taking office. His diplomatic journeys include visits to Equatorial Guinea, London, where he visited twice, United Kingdom, where he also visited twice, along with Guinea-Bissau, Kenya, Benin Republic, South Africa, Ghana, India, United Arab Emirates, the US, Saudi, where he all visited twice, and Germany, Ethiopia, Senegal, and Qatar. Meanwhile, as Nigeria celebrates Maulud Nabil, the birthday of Prophet Muhammad, President Bola Tinubu and other prominent leaders have called for reflection on the Prophet's virtue on purity, selflessness, and compassion. Tinubu, in a statement by his special advisor, Bayo Onanuga, urged Muslims to embody these virtues and pray for the nation's well-being. Senate President Godswill Akpabio and House Speaker Tajin Abbas also emphasized the importance of harmony, love, and divine intervention for Nigeria's peace and prosperity. Abbas highlighted the need for prayers for both national leaders and the country as a whole during the crucial time. APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje called on Nigerians to renew their trust in President Bola Tinubu and support his comprehensive economic reforms. He emphasized the need for collective prayer and commitment to building a just and equitable society inspired by the Prophet's exemplary life. While the PDP, however, urged the APC-led federal government to focus on citizens' welfare and address economic and security challenges, using the celebration as a moment for national introspection and hope. Meanwhile, the federal government declared today a public holiday to mark the occasion. President Bola Tinubu has expressed deep sorrow over the tragic boat accident and flood in Zamfara State, which claimed the lives of over 40 farmers. In a statement, Tinubu extended condolences to victims' families and assured them of federal government's support, emphasized national solidarity, and announced a comprehensive assessment to address the underlying causes of these disasters. Tinubu pledged to strengthen disaster preparedness and mobilize emergency response teams to aid the affected communities. Still in flooding in Maiduguri, Borno State, the aftermath of a severe flood has left residents reeling from extensive damage and loss, with at least 414,000 people displaced and 30 confirmed dead. Survivors are calling for a swift and transparent distribution of relief funds. The federal government had contributed 3 billion naira each to every state, and Aliko Dangote has added 1.5 billion naira with additional support from various state governments. Despite this, many victims, including those in Modogari and Mondo Market, report being stranded and in dire need of assistance. The University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital has suspended patient admission due to flood damage, raising concerns about potential disease outbreak. Meanwhile, Borno State Police has rescued a stranded pregnant woman and are managing the crisis on the ground. And still in Maiduguri, the recent flooding at the Maiduguri Medium Security Custodial Center has allowed 280 inmates to flee, including Boko Haram commanders. This adds to a dramatic rise in prison outbreaks, with over 6,675 inmates, including high-profile Boko Haram terrorists, having escaped from Nigerian custodial centers over the past 5 years. Despite effort to recapture them, 4,643 escapees remain at large. The government is intensifying efforts to address the crisis, but concerns about increased criminal activities persist. Following devastating floods in Maiduguri, Borno State, United Nations officials and humanitarian groups have pledged urgent support for displaced residents. Flood triggered by the Alao Dam collapse have left thousands homeless and worsened existing humanitarian crisis. United Nations Resident Coordinator Mohammed Fall and a high-level team visited the affected areas, promising immediate aid, including food, water, and shelter. Let's take a listen to Mohammed Fall, Assistant Secretary General, United Nations Residents and Humanitarian Coordinator.
Of WHO, UNDP, OICHA, all UN families doing. But I just want you to tell you that we will not spare any of our resources in this response. Probably we might not be where we wanted to be in terms of resources. But as we speak, we will try also to repurpose resources that were designed for some other intervention to see how we can bring them towards scaling up and speeding up this response.
We are committed to engaging with traditional rulers across the nation, tapping into your wisdom and leveraging
With over 125,000 hectares of farmland destroyed and severe food insecurity escalating, the UN has allocated over $8 million for emergency relief. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum praised the international aid, emphasizing the need to quickly rebuild and support displaced families. While the federal government of Nigeria has received 50 tons of humanitarian aid from the United Arab Emirates to assist internally displaced persons affected by recent floods. The relief item had arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, were presented by UAE Ambassador Salem Al-Shasi. Donation directed by UAE President Sheikh Mohammed Al Nahyan aims to alleviate the hardship caused by the floods. Permanent Secretary Dr. Ahmed Dunuma praised the UAE for its timely support, and NEMAD Director General Mrs. Zubaida Umar confirmed that the aid will be distributed to flood-affected areas across the country. While the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has ramped up rescue operations in Maiduguri, successfully assisting more flood victims amidst worsening conditions in Borno State. NEMA's Northeast Zonal Coordinator, Sirajo Garba, confirmed ongoing search and rescue efforts along with critical medical outreach, reaching 170 individuals. The agency also deployed water tankers to alleviate shortages and is working with Medicine Frontier to provide temporary health services. NEMA is also coordinating with local agencies to enhance sanitation and distribute essential supplies.
Have additional tents due to the large number of people that have trooped in here. The camp coordination and camp management office has also been set up to work with other partners. All the sectors, health, water, sanitation and hygiene, security and other sectors are being set up with partners supporting and the co-leads. The challenges we have, which we've discussed, and I think we are overcoming them, of water, sanitation and hygiene. Of course, because of the large number of people we have, we're trying to avoid a situation of outbreak. The Borno State government directed the Ministry of Environment and Health through the GM Bosepa. They've been able to come and clean up the place. They were mandated to have 24-hour service in the camps.
Still on flood-related issues, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has issued a warning to Rivers State residents about the likelihood of severe flooding in the coming 4 weeks. South Zonal Coordinator Mr. Adeyi Razak highlighted that the intensified rainfall and runoff from the north could lead to significant water rises. NEMA has begun sensitizing communities in flood-prone areas and advising preparation, including evacuation to higher ground and stockpiling essential supplies. The agency is collaborating with local authorities to mitigate potential impact. Away from that, the federal government's presidential compressed natural gas initiative has kicked off a major project to convert 10,000 commercial vehicles to CNG, starting with a launch event in Lagos. Strategic Project Advisor Yinka Rufai announced the initiative aims to convert up to 1 million vehicles by 2027, with the first phase focusing on rapid conversion at designated centers. The program seeks to reduce transportation costs by 4% and cut emissions. Investors are encouraged to set up CNG stations nationwide to support the efforts. While independent petroleum marketers are calling for direct access to petrol from the Dangote refinery, criticizing the NNPC for its monopolistic control over the market. While NNPC claims it will not be the sole buyer, recent government announcements reveal it will exclusively handle petrol distribution from the refinery. Marketers argue that this could create a new domestic monopoly and are concerned about pricing transparency and potential extortion. Meanwhile, the Dangote Group has refuted claims by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company NNPC spokesperson Olufemi Suniye that petrol was sold to NNPC at 898 naira per litre. In a statement, Dangote's Chief Branding and Communication Officer Anthony Chijina called the claim misleading and mischievous, suggesting it undermines progress in addressing Nigeria's energy issues. Dangote emphasized that the current crude stock was procured in dollars and assured Nigerians of continued fuel availability and quality. The group urged the public to await a formal pricing announcement from the Technical Subcommittee on Naira-based crude sales. Meanwhile, the Dangote refinery has begun lifting petrol, ending decades of absence of production of the product in Nigeria. The NNPC Limited trucks arrived at the Dangote refinery to load petrol yesterday. The Ibadan zone of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has expressed grave concerns over the unjust treatment of its members, including the termination of over 120 appointments and the withholding of 28 months' salaries. At a press conference held at the Ladake Akintola University of Technology, Professor Oyebamiji Oyeguche criticized the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, for targeting members who opposed the conferment of a professorship on former Minister Issa Patami, as to condemn the ongoing victimization, calling for immediate reinstatement of dismissed members and payment of old salaries, while urging support from civil society and media for their cause. The Labour Party's internal conflict has escalated as Julius Aburi's National Working Committee has filed a lawsuit against the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Aburi's faction is seeking to prevent INEC from recognizing the Nadi Usman-led caretaker committee and is demanding recognition of the leadership elected at the March 27 convention. National Publicity Secretary Obiara Ifo confirmed the legal action, emphasizing the push for INEC to respect the established party leadership. Crisis follows the recent formation of a new caretaker committee and the withdrawal of automatic tickets for key figures including Peter Obi and Governor Alex Eti. And in Akwa Ibom, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Uyo Zonal Command, has detained 5 Chinese nationals for suspected illegal mining activities in Ndito Ekaiba village in the local government area of Akwa Ibom State. Suspect Zhong Qingping, Li Fi, Zibing, Chima Zhao, and Zheng Zheng were apprehended between August 29 and September 10 while extracting inmate, a titanium iron oxide. AFCC spokesperson Dele Oyewole confirmed the arrest following intelligence report and stated that the individuals will face legal charges once investigations are complete. And that's a side of political updates. We go to break and when we come back, we'll look at burning issues. Stay with us.
we are proud to be representing not only Benin, but representing Nigeria and representing Africa. I want to thank you very much. I want to wish you well. I want to assure you that the historical recognition that you have expressed, we try, we do our best to keep it up. All the things you said, we do our best. As I always say, it's work in progress to make things peaceful, tranquil in the state and in the nation. We are proud to be representing not only Benin, but representing Nigeria and representing Africa.
What we need is that we shall work with you more closely to prevent outbreaks of diseases, provide immediate medical assistance, provide immediate humanitarian support in terms of food and non-food items, shelter, amongst others. But most importantly, the major intervention that we need is how we shall support these people to go back to their houses.
And I don't want this meeting to be a list of WHO, UNDP, OICHA, all UN families doing. But I just want you to tell you that we will not spare any of our resources in this response. Probably we might not be where we wanted to be in terms of resources. But as we speak, we will try also to repurpose resources that were designed for some other intervention to see how we can bring them towards scaling up and speeding up this response.
We are committed to engaging with traditional rulers across the nation, tapping into your wisdom and leveraging on your influence to foster peace, unity, and progress in our great country. Your role in conflict resolution, in promoting harmonious coexistence, and in guiding our youth cannot be overemphasized. As we approach the governorship election in the great beautiful state of Edo, we seek your blessings and counsel. Our party's candidate, Senator Monday Okpebolo, comes with a vision of progress and development for Edo State, building on the illustrious history of this great land. We believe that with your support and the collective will of the Edo people, we can usher in an era of unprecedented growth and prosperity for this state. Your efforts in promoting Benin culture, fostering unity amongst your people, and advocating for the return of stolen Benin artifacts have not gone unnoticed. The recent return of some of these priceless cultural treasures is a visible evidence to your tireless efforts and diplomatic skills, while also embracing positive developments that benefit your subjects. And assurances of the federal government's unwavering support for traditional institutions like yours. Your Majesty, our administration recognizes the crucial role that royal fathers play as custodians of our cultural heritage and as key stakeholders in national. We are committed to engaging with traditional rulers across the nation, tapping into your wisdom and leveraging on your influence to foster peace, unity, and progress in our great country. Your role in conflict resolution, in promoting harmonious coexistence, and in guiding our youth cannot be overemphasized. As we approach the governorship election in the great beautiful state of Edo, we seek your blessings and counsel. Our party's candidate, Senator Monday Okpebolo, comes with a vision of progress and development for Edo State, building on the illustrious history of this great land. We believe that with your support and the collective will of the Edo people, we can usher in an era of unprecedented growth and prosperity for this state. your efforts in promoting Benin culture, fostering unity amongst your people, and advocating for the return of stolen Benin artifacts have not gone unnoticed. The recent return of some of these priceless cultural treasures is a visible evidence to your tireless efforts and diplomatic skills, while also embracing positive developments that benefit your subjects, and assurances of the federal government's unwavering support for traditional institutions like yours. Your Majesty, our administration recognizes the crucial role that royal fathers play as custodians of our cultural heritage and as key stakeholders in national. We are committed.
What Edo State needs is a strategic thinker, a builder, a man of the people, a man who can rally the great people of Edo State. Edo needs a man who opens his doors to the people, hear their cry, and lead them with the fear of God. Edo does not need a man who knows the call. Edo needs a man who feels the call of his people. What Edo State needs is a strategic thinker, a builder, a man of the people, a man who can rally the great people of Edo State. Edo needs a man who opens his doors to the people, hear their cry, and lead them with the fear of God. Edo does not need a man who knows the call. Edo needs a man who feels the call of his people. What Edo State needs is a strategic thinker, a builder, a man of the people, a man who can rally the great people of Edo State. Edo needs a man who opens his doors to the people, hear their cry, and lead them with the fear of God. Edo does not need a man who knows the call. Edo needs a man who feels the call of his people. What Edo State needs is a strategic thinker, a builder, a man of the people, a man who can rally the great people of Edo State.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's bring you our first story. I will deal with these burning issues that affect politics across the nation. Human rights activists and 2023 African Action Congress. Presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore has announced plans for additional protests following his detention at Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos yesterday. Sowore was held by the Nigerian Immigration Service upon his return from the United States with his passport seized and claims of detentions ordered. The activist described the detention as part of a broader government crackdown on dissent. Shortly after his release, Sowore addressed the media, reaffirming his commitment to the Fearless in October protest scheduled to begin on October 1, 2024. He criticized the government for its handling of previous protests and vowed to continue advocating against perceived governmental failures. The AAC's National Publicity Secretary condemned the detention as an act of intimidation and called for an end to attempts to silence opposition voices. Meanwhile, the 10 activists recently charged in connection with the End Bad Governance protests are facing a significant challenge in meeting the 10 million naira bail condition set by the Federal High Court. Despite being granted bail last Wednesday, the activists remain in prison due to difficulties in fulfilling the bail requirement, which include securing a surety with Abuja-based property and deposing passport and photographs. Defense Counsel DG Aden Anju and Marshal Abubakar have indicated that only a few have managed to meet the conditions, while others are still struggling. Meanwhile, in Edo State, with the governorship election approaching on September 21, tensions are soaring between the ruling PDP party in the state and the opposition All Progressives Congress. The PDP has accused former Governor Adams Oshimole of orchestrating election rigging plans in his hometown of Iyaho, alleging that APC supporters are preparing to manipulate votes and disrupt polling stations. The PDP also claimed that APC agents are producing police uniforms and masks to disguise their tongues. In response, the APC dismissed these accusations as baseless and accused the PDP of hallucinations and attempts to undermine the electoral process. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has turned down the PDP's request to remove Edo State resident Electoral Commissioner Anubum Onuoha before the September 21 governorship election. PDP raised concerns over Onuoha's ties with the Federal Capital Territory Minister and former Governor Nyesom Wike. Despite these concerns, INEC insists the electoral process will remain transparent and impartial, urging focus on the electoral process rather than individual officials. A debate heats up as candidates face criticism for avoiding a key gubernatorial debate. And still in Edo State, the presidency has strongly refuted claims by the PDP in Edo State that it plans to manipulate next Saturday's election in favor of the APC. PDP chairman Dr. Anthony Aziebemi alleged that the presidency, through the National Security Advisor, is scheming to support APC Senator Monday Okpebholo. However, Temitokbe Ajayi, Senior Special Assistant to the President, dismissed the allegations as unfounded and a preemptive exercise for PDP's expected defeat. Ajayi reaffirmed President Tinubu's commitment to democratic integrity and stated that security agencies prioritize national security over electoral manipulations. To join us in discussing these issues, particularly with regards to the detention and release of Sowore, as well as other political opposition leaders, is a barrister, a solicitor, an advocate of the Supreme Court. Barrister Nyeti joins us from Uyo. Barrister, welcome to Political Spectrum. Yeah, I can barely make out what you're saying. Can you hear me? Hello, Barrister Nyeti. Barrister, can you hear me? Oh, great. Great to have you on the program once again. With what's playing out in Edo State, before we come to Edo State, just recently we were grappling with the arrest and release of the NLC president, Joe Ajare. And today we are also seeing a situation where Sowore was also arrested or rather detained upon arrival and had his passport seized. Is this a pattern? Is the ruling APC now going after its political opponents?
You are better than every position the microphone a bit more for me. Yeah.
I couldn't make out what you said.
I couldn't make a sense of what you were saying.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was saying, we saw it. It seems as if we are seeing a trend. We saw the NLC president who was denied his trip to join the international TUC conference in the UK and had his passport seized. We are seeing Sowore upon his return also being. Okay, I think at our technical department will try to sort that out. I guess he's having difficulties trying to access the line. But we've seen a trend, and by the way, this is not the first time that Omole Sowore is arrested by the ruling party. During President Buhari's tenure, we saw him arrested for quite a while, took the intervention of the U.S. State Department for him to gain his freedom after being detained for a while. That controversy came upon the wordings of his statements, which seemed to, from the government as at then, saying that he was inciting violence by calling for a revolution, which he denied. And looking at what's playing out again this time around with his return from the U.S., we're seeing him face the law again, with the authorities having seized his passport. With this playing out, I am wondering whether this is a trend. We have Barrister Nyeti Basi back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but a bit friendly,
the mic is right on my chest. I'm sorry we couldn't do a video call. The question I'm asking is basically, it seems as if political opponents are facing passport seizures, detentions. Is this a trend? Is this what we are going to be seeing now, moving forward? We are still having that challenge. Well, I'm sure that we're going to try to sort that out so that we could have a conversation. But with this arrest, it seems as if it's because it's played out before. And by the way, this is a tactics used by so many governments. It's almost as if it's from the rule book of the military era. Political opponents, from time to time, made to pay a visit to the Department of State Services, or SSS as it then was called, or rather, if they weren't invited, they would be visited themselves, sometimes in the middle of the night. But then, the federal government has seemed to be high on the issue of the October 1 proposed protest, which is a sequel to the August End Bad Governance protest. So, well, that protest raised a lot of eyebrows, particularly from the government, and some have alleged that it led to the sacking of the then DG of the DSS, who resigned, and his resignation was accepted. We've also seen international politics playing to it, with Polish students arrested, accused of being part of the protests. They ultimately were released. And we've also seen where protesters called for a removal of the government and calling for the intervention of Russians and Chinese. So yes, there are significant national security debates around this kind of mass mobilizations towards protest. But then the underlying causes of the protest itself has to do with people crying out that they're having significant challenge with living, just staying alive, with the soaring costs of food and basically everything. Nigerians thronged to the street to register their dissent, and which has also led to some of the protesters being arraigned in court. And again, with the High Court in Abuja slapping a 10 million naira bail per person on each of the protesters that were arraigned. Seemingly, this may be perhaps to deter others from trying to follow suit. Again, looking at how widespread, or maybe not even, yeah, why it was widespread, even though not everybody was involved. The turnout was actually low comparatively, as most Nigerians chose to stay indoors. But it was, presidents were registered across the countries, with major city centers like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt bearing the brunt. Of course, almost all the northern states were involved: Kano, Kaduna, Bauchi, Gombe. Massive turnout, people crying that the policies of the Tinubu-led administration were really, really biting hard, and they came out to register their dissatisfaction with the policy direction of the government, and calling for a reduction in the price of so many things and a restatement of subsidies and the managing of the naira against the dollar. So this played out. But in the interim, government has come out to double down on the policy direction, with Tinubu calling it necessary and essential. Also saying that difficulties were only natural, but the Nigerians will benefit in the long term from what he says is the best for Nigeria. So this is what we are looking at. Hoping we could get our guests back online and have a conversation around that. We're going to break, and when we come back, we'll be ready to dive into the conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, we've been able to establish contact again with my guest, Barrister Nyete Bassey. He's a lawyer. He's an advocate of the Supreme Court, a human rights advocate, and of course a public affairs analyst. Barrister Nyete, before we were having that difficulty, I was trying to paint a picture of what's been playing out only recently. We saw the arrests of the NLC chairman, his detention and subsequent release. His passport was seized and also subsequently released, and Sowore coming in to face something very similar. Is this the government's approach in trying to silent dissent?
Well, I can picture some of what he's trying. Let me make my contribution. It's quite unfortunate where we found ourselves more than ever before, but one would be right to say that the present administration is showing a growing intolerance for dissenting voices. Very intolerant to dissenting voices, which is antithetical to democratic principles that allows for freedom of expression of the citizenry. The only right we have, after taking our politicians into office, the only voice, the only thing that we have left is our voice. And so this administration has shown in diverse ways to be clamping down on the freedom of expression. We want to list about the journalists who have been arrested are very secret moves by officials. So the one that has been done publicly like that, so we were yesterday, Sunday, at the airport by one classical instance, because for the period of time it was mentioned on the instruction of DSS, according to information, one has not been able to be told exactly what to do to this. It's apart from their fanning the embers of terror, just like those who were part of the play last month have been at Nabu and 124 on charges on the and then the of these people ranging from 16 years to 24 to 5 years.
What we are seeing, what we're seeing this time, it's the Nigerian Immigration Service that effected the arrest. We don't know. Well, some people are alluding that perhaps it's the DSS that issued the request for the NIS to effect the detention. We are not too certain on that yet. But what we know is that he was detained and he says his passport was seized. And he says this has to do with the October protest that is organized, tagged Fearless in October protest, a sequel to the End Bad Governance protest.
So,
yeah.
This is true. Both council that done constitutionally, they within the question to question that something is wrong with ISO. When the Christians are concerned, so what and why do you keep law? Don't just oppose it. He came in, there was a arrested when he comes to Nigeria. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So, and that Nigeria was arrested. Will be giving the fact that this administration to clamp down freedom of expression. That's my position. The way that they are showing or inclined that was given because there's a plan for the government to be mindful of what caused the protest. They are protested. Thing is playing out because of complicated.
Barsenetie, we are having challenges hearing you clearly. The sound seems to be going up and down. We'll call you again and try to establish contact so that you can finish your thoughts. He was trying to establish that the government had already, marshaled out, resources to have Sowore arrested upon his return, and that seemed to have been in the offing for a while. And just seeing this effected upon his arrival seemed to be natural. So we can't necessarily speculate. But linking him, it seems as if he's linking his arrest to dissent. Because again, like the question I asked him in the opener, this seems to be a trend. Particularly people who have called for protests. We have the arraignment of those 10 protesters in Abuja. Can you hear me now?
It's calling. I can barely make it.
Okay, so we'll try to get we try to get you back. We try to get you back. We are having significant challenge with network there. But my question now would be, to you, who is watching, if people can't protest, if people can't disagree with the government, because we have so many things to disagree with the government about, from the issue of the cost of petroleum product in the market today, to policy direction with regards to taxation, with regards to subsidy or end of it, with regards to fiscal policy, and all of these things that government seem to be rolling out. It seems to say the government is perhaps signaling that if someone takes a position different from itself, that person is an enemy of the state. At least that's what the NLC president said upon his arrest. And quite a number of people have mooted this too. But that would be dangerous, particularly to our democracy, because if people are not afforded the constitutional means to express themselves, by the way, the right to protest and the right to freedom of expression is enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution 1999, as well as almost all other constitutions that Nigeria ever had. So if Nigerians are facing difficulty, whether it is through the weaponization, some would say, of the judiciary to go after protesters, particularly peaceful protesters, because we've not really had traction with those who were arrested. Some protesters were violent, and they deserve to answer questions that the law will throw at them. But for those who were peaceful, it seems as if the government is saying you can't protest, you can't speak, you can't express yourself. And that would endanger our democratic experience. And even worse than threatening our democracy would be if people can't express themselves. Wouldn't that be a recipe, or wouldn't that push them in the direction of using non-constitutional means to express themselves? Because expression itself is natural. And this is what we should guard against. This is what we should try our utmost not to promote, not to allude to. We shouldn't. This is something that we should distance ourselves from totally. Because if people are encouraged to seek expression through means that are not democratic, means that are not constitutional, then our democracy is under threat. Government may say that, of course, the right of expression is not is limited. Your right, starts at a particular place and ends somewhere. It's not absolute. Fair. But if in trying to put people in a place where the law can't be broken, we are not using extra legal means to do that, well, that would significantly damage our democratic experience, and it's not something that we should encourage. We're also seeing not just people arrested. We saw with goodness he was released, and according to him, he had his passport seized. He starts also trying to restrict his movement. October is not too far away. Today is the 16th, so it's barely 2 weeks, barely to October. Is this a ploy to have him not to travel again? I don't know what that is, but we'll continue to monitor the situation and see where this leads us. But that's not all we are focusing on today. We're also looking at what's playing out in Edo State with both Deputy or Vice President Kashim Shettima appearing for the APC with almost all the APC bigwigs, with party chairman Ganduje and quite a number of people showing up to support the APC candidate Bobolo. But we also saw with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar showing up on the PDP side to also marshal support for the PDP. That's the Vice President trying to push for the people of Edo State to vote APC. Now, let's take a listen to what he said in that rally during that campaign.
Is a strategic thinker, a builder, a man of the people, a man who can rally the great people of Edo State. Edo is a man who opens his doors to the people, hear their cry, and lead them to the fear of God. Edo does not need a man who does the call. Edo is a man who kills all of his people. What Edo State needs is a strategic thinker, a builder, a man of the people, a man who can rally the great people of Edo State. Edo needs a man who opens his doors to the people, hear their cry, and lead them to the fear of God. Edo does not need a man who does the call. Edo needs a man who kills all of his people. What Edo State needs is a strategic thinker.
But then again, well, the Vice President speaking there, the PDP has come out to, first of all, they didn't sign the peace accord as brokered by General Abdulsalami Abubakar, retired former head of state of Nigeria, and some eminent Nigerians, including the Reverend Father Kuka there. But what's this? We've seen two significant weights, but this allegation of interference by the ruling APC government seems not to be going away. The PDP has firmly entrenched its position that that seemed to be reality, although INEC, the IGP of police, as well as the presidency have issued rebuttals distancing themselves from interfering in any way with the Edo elections. But with the PDP showing no confidence in the security apparatus, particularly with their allegations, that allegation came out again that even alleging that Adams Eshimole is also trying to fiddle with the election, and accusing him of organizing the sewing of police uniforms and masks to disrupt the elections. These are all allegations, by the way, labeled by the PDP against the APC, as well as the Nigerian police, and as well as INEC, as saying that they are colluding to fraudulently hijack the elections. So this is the atmosphere as it is in Edo State. We're wondering how this will impact the election, with one party coming out to clearly say that it has lost all confidence, so to speak, in the organizers of the election about their abilities to stay fair and not interfere in the process. This is called to question whether INEC itself, or whether the outcome of the election, if it does not favor the PDP, will be accepted by the PDP. And the disruption that could result from that. These are key issues that we should look at, particularly as we approach September 21st, where Edo State will be reeling out to elect a new governor for themselves. So, key questions to answer. Of course, during this week, we'll try to bring a robust team to take a look at the preparedness of INEC as well as the security forces to conduct the election, and the allegations that have been raised and that the PDP has continued to push, that the government, the APC-led government, federal government, is attempting to hijack the electoral process and bend the rules to a favorable outcome to them illegally. We're going to continue to take a look at that. But we are also wondering whether what PDP is doing is just blowing hot air, and whether they are just trying to create a narrative because they seemingly are unpopular, because there are some people who are saying that Obasanjo's administration promised a whole lot and did not deliver, and there's a likelihood that the PDP has negative views from the people of Edo State, and this may affect their results at the poll. And quite some other accusation that the PDP has been organizing protests. We saw a number of protests last week with some women coming out to accuse the IGP of police of interfering in the elections. And those, not yet been answered questions of the arrest of some PDP party officials, including a local government chairman, and the killing of a police orderly attached to one of the PDP candidates. These are questions that we would continue to seek answers to as we approach September 21st, to see whether the Edo people will be afforded an even playing field to freely choose who they want to lead the affairs of Edo State for the next 4 years. So that's how far we can go today in political spectrum. We'll be sure to come back tomorrow. We had quite a few challenges, but these are basic. We live in Nigeria. But for me, it's goodbye.